water usage, and he came in specifically and asked for review, and we turned him down. So I just wanted to make sure that.
That went through the sewer, though.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we're,
Yep,
I was,
and that's
we were
a,
doing
the same
that.
thing.
yeah, the sewer policy, adjustment
Okay.
policy has been fantastic. I would not change anything about it. It's very clear
I just didn't want us
cut.
to get caught in something that we
No.
did for somebody else that we didn't.
No.
I wanted to make sure it was two different scenarios.
And like I said, if this was not if it was accidental, it would actually be caught by the adjustment
Okay.
policy. It wouldn't be allowed.
Fair enough.
So,
Just wanted it clarified.
So you need a motion from us so that that authorizes you to settle this issue when you
Yeah.
get a true reading on the usage then?
just a motion to waive whatever the difference is in sewer charge, or difference in usage is, and then adjusting the sewer charges accordingly based off the difference in usage.
You okay with that? You okay with that?
Yep.
I'll make a motion then authorizing the settlement of this when the information becomes available then.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, discussion and possible action on approving an architect to work on the plans for a proposed daycare center.
The daycare center remodel did come back at the estimate of $350,000. The amount would make the space usable and make improvements to the outside to make it blend with the existing building. It would include landscaping the front and facade work to blend the buildings, essentially getting rid of some of the pavement and the roof, making that match up.
But, so you're gonna take the driveway out? No.
Where the driveways come to the doors that won't exist anymore, you'd blow out the concrete there, so that's.
So,
Well, the doors will be disappear then too? The overhead doors will be gone?
Yeah.
so in a few years, if we get the building back, then we gotta put
Then we gotta do it all over
concrete back
again.
in, doors back in.
Well,
stuff
if you
in.
make a garage out of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's normally what kind of been used as
Yeah, but
a storage center or something.
There's a lot of need in Humboldt too for meeting spaces, you know. I don't foresee it ever happening anyway, coming back, but.
Well, the school, no, it's if the school's, talking about taking it over in a few years and attaching it to the schools, and then it's gonna be empty
That
at
would be
that point
awesome.
anyway, so, because they're already talking about going where the junior high is and stuff, but they can't do that for a few years
Well,
anyway, so.
there'd be almost no way to turn this back into a garage space. I
Right.
mean, there won't be the trench drains, that's part of the project. There's a room in the front that's an entryway for checking kids in and out. I mean, there's gonna be inserts essentially where the overhead doors would be. And so the amount of money you'd spend on turning it back into a garage would be cost prohibitive. I think that, if that would be, I think that would be very hard to go back down that road. If you wanted to, I mean, it's all just a matter of money, whether you turn it back or
It's a lot
not.
of money, there's no question.
But the concrete's gonna be one of the cheapest things of turning it back if you want.
Well, are we gonna see a business plan on any of this? Or prospect on what's gonna happen with this, to see how this is gonna pay out, or?
That's, I guess what I'm trying to figure out here is how you'd like to proceed with this. What I'm listing out here is just trying to get, if the council's amenable to using the TIF, there's no obligation necessarily to go down this road, and if you want the daycare board to come in and show you essentially what they've got as far as numbers and estimates and everything like that. The way that I've got it structured is as a potential funding source is using $200,000 of tax increment financing to pay for half the project roughly, or a little more than half, and then using $150,000 of revolving loan fund loans to get to the $350,000.
When we talked about this with the development board, you know, more than a year ago, some time ago, there was always discussion about if this was actually going to help a business, that there should have been partners in this, you know, that should have been throwing money into this and stuff. Because the hospital was one of them that said, you know, if it was going to benefit them, they were willing to put in money. If there was someone else, you know, because it's, I guess the problem I have here is we're building something. I'm not even sure what we're building here, but if we're building something to help specifically businesses, then I think there should be some discussion with the businesses to put some money in here, because I don't feel as a business owner, I should be paying for something I'll never use, that I'm helping another business owner to make money off of, I guess, anyway. If that's what this really boils down to in the long run, is helping business people to attract, keep, whatever it's doing or something anyway, employees, you know, and it's a direct benefit just to the business people, then I think there should be, I don't think the city should be hung out to dry here. I think there should be partners in this, you know, or donation people should be coming in here or something. It's, you know, if, so far, I've not talked to the business owners, I guess, that I know who it is that needs this.
I think one of your biggest supporters is in favor of this now, Walt.
Well, I know as a business owner, we have primarily female employees, and I know, I've talked to a lot of them, and they find a real big need in Humboldt for daycare. And the thing of it is you know, when daycare is not available, because of the fact that a lot of the daycare that they're currently getting are private households, and they have a high problem with finding daycare if that person is sick or what have you, you know, and nobody has ever approached us on whether or not we wanted to contribute or help. So I'm all for the daycare, because I know there's a definite need in this community for a daycare that is dependable, that's gonna be there whether that you know, the single person daycare is sick, you know, because people need to be able to go out and have a, you know, a job, you know, and there's a lot of people that need daycare in the community, you know, so a lot of single parents, you know, that are dependent on it.
The little city of Gilmore City has 99 kids in their daycare now, and it's funded by the city. They pay a monthly fund.
School helps out somewhat.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I talked to Greg Darling today, and we've lost students because of daycare. The open enrollment, because they're not gonna open enroll their high school kids here if they've got young kids too, because there's no place to take the young kids after school, when their parents are working here. Well, you start losing kids, you start losing parents too, and, I mean, 99 kids in a daycare in Gilmore City blows my mind, you know? And we lost another daycare this week in Humboldt. It was a house, you know, a person in the house that taking care of daycare, and those families are scrambling to try to find somebody, and they're struggling to find somebody.
And, you know, when it's a single person doing the daycare, you know, it's not always as dependable as an institutional daycare.
Yeah.
You know, and an institutional daycare has better tools to handle, you know, the amount of people, the children, you know, so I'm all for it, you know, and, you know,
I just, you know, I'm not against it that we need it here, I
Yeah.
don't think we're pursuing the right avenues here for how it's funded.
Yeah.
I think there should be, I think that the business owners should be willing to contribute and not, you know.
well, have
to
you
help
approached
out
any?
on- No, and that's why I think possibly that we're a little early on this, and I think.
Well, we're talking about moving ahead and keeping the ball rolling and looking at an architect. And maybe the plan comes back in at $450,000.
And then
You know,
we
then
don't-
hey, it's not gonna work, I'm sorry. It's not gonna work.
But-
400,000.
Also, you were made mention that you're worried that, you know, it may be an obsolete situation in a couple of years, but if it's subdivided and is put into a usable space instead of just a garage, it could be used for a lot of different businesses or avenues, or even expansion of our police department, you know? There's always possibilities for a remodeled building versus a warehouse, you know? Warehouses are cheap, you know? You can make a warehouse anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, he's here, maybe you'd like to weigh in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked about day and stuff. Did you want to say anything, Greg, about a daycare or not?
Do I wanna say anything?
Since you walked in.
Did I walk in on a smoking gun?
Stand right up, stand right up.
What I'm saying on the podium, what's the?
Well, you could be our first contributor for money here anyway. We're looking for contributions to
yes,
help out. So, see what's the school?
Well,
I think I have a couple dollars in my wallet, I'll help out on
To get those
that.
33 students back, that would help.
Yeah, you know, just talking of the school district, one of the goals of the school district of our, is to do anything possible to help with doing this as a daycare, having a daycare in our community. If it's helping open classrooms to educate people, or is it to you know, add on here. But the main part that we're seeing is now we're seeing economic impact of it. We have both open enroll students in and out, and a big part of that, I know for sure that I could validate 6 students that aren't coming this year because they're going somewhere to the home school because they don't have daycare here that provide the little ones. Our enrollment is down at the elementary, the middle school and high school are up, and part of it is mobility, a part of it is people want to move into here. But the big question always happens is that we need daycare. I have one teacher that's driving out of town 15 miles to do daycare because there's none here. They would like to have that. So, and I do know that, you know, the school district will do as much as we can, but it does have an impact. You know, if we talk 6 students times 6,200, you know, we're talking 38,000. That's economic impact here. That's a half a teacher. So, you know, there is some things. And I have been involved, the 2 other towns I've been a part of, the same size towns as ours, and the city and the county got together and they helped propose some daycare, and they're going strong right now. So it's just
If the county chooses to get involved, that'd be great. I don't know, I'm not against the daycare, I just wanna make sure that this thing is gonna fly. Because the ones that I've been involved in haven't, they've been a drain. So, I mean, that's why I asked about the business plan. I mean, what are the numbers? What are we talking about for numbers of students? I mean, we gotta cover all this. as far
You know,
as
and Alyssa will come and tell us that too, but I had a lengthy conversation with her today too, and this is a one-time, pretty much a one-time deal for the city at this point, and that's the renovation of the building. With 56 students, with 56 daycare students, the place funds itself, the overall running of the daycare. And so investing $350,000 in the building next door to make it more attractive to different businesses than a garage, I just think it's a no-brainer. You know,
The total number of children, and that came back with the other thing, because they can't actually do the estimate until they figure out what you need. And the total number was, 60, 70, 89, 79, sorry. 79 children that could be serviced, and that number changes depending on what the ratios are, because younger kids, you have lower ratios, older kids, you have higher ratios. But that was using, using infants in an infant room. That number goes down if you move infants into one of the overflow rooms, but using the breakdown that they had. And, you know, at that point, they felt that it was comfortable with the cash flow. I think they'd be happy to come in and present something.
Well, I think we
Honestly,
should. I
would-
mean, I don't think we should be making a decision like this without having some of the, being armed with everything.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable just saying, go ahead.
Sure, and it's, I guess, the one thing I would say is that we're still in the beginning stages. It's earlier on the agenda because frankly, as I leave, I'm the one who actually knows most of what's going on, and so that tends to be an issue. Just trying to get this in front of you guys, and you guys make the determination on how you want to proceed. This action is just for essentially going through plans, and getting the plans together for the
To know whether the
renovation.
cost is gonna be 350 or
It's
400.
still expensive.
That's fine,
Yeah,
that's fine.
but, I mean, it is, it is
no-
expensive, you're bringing up plans,
there's
it's
no-
not
nothing cheap
some
about it.
small amount,
But
but it
Yeah.
is. I mean, it
But so
isn't, it also isn't authorizing tax increment finance, I mean, it's also not giving the go-ahead on the debt.
But where does this money come from for this step, out of curiosity?
Well, I mean, it's the city's project, so it can come from the city.
At what point does it not become, that's what I'm scared of. At what point, and I hope this never becomes a city deal, so, at what point do we turn it over to somebody else if the city is involved? I guess that's what I'm concerned about. So it's not, it doesn't come back on us, I guess. Unfortunately, you get a leave, I gotta pay for the rest of my life.
Well,
But
I'm
just-
pretty vested in this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not just, I care a lot about it. I'm not, it's not trying to just throw something.
Well,
out.
how many years was it before Eagle Grove, Eagle Grove did this thing? The city took charge over in Eagle Grove and put a daycare in over at Eagle Grove.
1999 is because
And the way I
Yeah.
understand it, it is totally supportive, the city has nothing to do with it anymore.
And it had some scary times. I mean, Eagle Grove did run into,
Yeah.
the wall.
We're going to.
But that was a completely city project from the ground up. The city built the building.
I think
did
they had
everything.
some USDA funds allocated.
Yeah,
for
but it was a
that.
guarantee by the city, and so,
Yeah,
I
I
believe it.
mean,
But I mean, these won't be city employees here, I mean, these will be,
No.
I'm hoping, I'm hearing that anyway, these would be a separate entity. They're just using our building, because I sure don't want to have more city involvement here with, that could really come back to.
I think in the
I
end,
mean,
it's,
I don't mind the building, but, if that's what it's gonna
I
come
think
down
we're
to.
put
but-
in for a nonprofit status for
yeah,
that.
they already have a
Organization.
501c3.
so what's this 350 get us then, Aaron? I mean, today, I mean, is that
That's an estimate to remodel the
to
building.
remodel, and does that meet fire marshal codes,
Yes.
DHS codes and all that? I mean, is that,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
so-
it's an architect's stamp.
okay,
That's what, and the thing is, it is premature. I mean, it isn't, there's no plans, so you can't be 100% on it until you really have plans, but.
I think we should move forward with it.
And get the architect's opinion of where we're gonna be, and then we can get Alyssa's input after the fact, so we can have a complete picture to make a educated decision at a later date. So I'm all for it, and if we need to get community involvement with, say, different businesses' input and, financial contracts, I'm all for that too.
I mean, the other thing is, while we're going forward with this, I mean, we can ask, Alyssa but I mean, the daycare board's comprised of, I mean, Greg's on it, I'm on it. If you're on it, aren't you too?
I was on
Yeah.
several sessions,
Yeah, I mean, there's,
Yeah, because that did raise some questions. I mean, I didn't know, obviously Grace and I, my wife and I, we aren't in a position where we need daycare, so did I know it was an immediate need or an ongoing need? I didn't know that. But, so I did research it, and I talked to the regional director of the USDA office here in our community, and he did share a lot of the information that, there's been community involvement. It wouldn't be us setting a precedent. I mean, we're actually probably behind other communities offering these services, but it would be, so there's, like you were saying, there's schools, there's hospitals, and then, the grants and then the low interest loans, but, so there is a precedent out there, so I was comfortable, like you guys were saying, if it was a one-time investment, but not an ongoing, I think I could, I would support that. But we'll know after we move ahead if it supports
Yep,
it.
I agree 100% with what everybody said here. And you gotta look at it too. We're a farming community, it's not just businesses, Walt. And we've got a lot of farm kids that, their parents bring their kids in and go to school. Well, after school, they're farming, they're doing this, whatever they're doing, and they need a 2-hour window there when they can pick their kids up. Maybe they're working for a business, maybe they are working for a business. And you got people from Fort Dodge that are looking to move to Humboldt that work in Fort Dodge, that are building homes up on Eagle Ridge. They aren't working in Humboldt, but their kids are in Humboldt. and going to school in Humboldt. So, but I do fully understand that I think it would be nice if businesses would step forward and help out, help out too. But was that a motion?
No. But I would definitely be back behind it. I don't
You
know.
put it in the form of a motion?
Do we
so
need
can
a
move
motion?
on?
Do we need a
You
motion?
definitely need a motion,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
you're expecting.
Okay,
You're
then
spending money,
I'll
so you
say
gotta
it's a
have a
motion
motion, yeah.
to go forward.
And I will second that motion.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, guys.
Gonna cost you, Greg. You make 38,000, we should get a share of that.
I will. And I don't know if I mentioned that, the school is very much supportive of helping with lunches, providing the meals for their, some of the transportation, anything that we could do to help enhance that, so that would be
Yeah.
good. And in the future, we may have some land that would be for another place.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Next, discussion and possible action, no, I already got that, I'm sorry. Next, we need a motion to approve the formation of a public safety committee.
Just something that we've brought up, Councilman Goodell and I've talked about it, it came up at a previous meeting. I think that it would be good to get a committee together to start looking at different issues, both within the police department and then within the fire department, management issues, and then equipment issues. I mean, the fire department, this came up in the last budget session where we had, the fire department came up with the fact that they need several new trucks. And we had applied, and they've been very active in applying for grants. I've assisted with several of those. I'm on Rotary, and Rotary's done a lot of support for the fire department, which has been great, but they've got some really big needs. I mean, big needs is, it's a lot. And so with that in mind, we need to I guess, as a community, identify what can really happen, where are those funding sources, what equipment. Even if you bought something today, it takes almost a year to get that truck. And so if we bought a truck today, which we don't have the funds to, but if we bought a truck today, we wouldn't have it for another year. And most of those trucks have several decades on them. And so I just think that this would be a good time to identify, do you want to continue to proceed with the grant route, which obviously I think is important, to try and relieve some of the pressure that would be felt by the community if all of it was bonded. But, many communities have moved towards bonding for fire department equipment, and putting it on debt service. That increases taxes though. I mean, it's not a great route, but it's also, all of these items kind of play in together, because when you talk about public safety, that's one of the number one expenditures, I think, that you're gonna see out of the general fund. And so the fire department's out of the general fund, with support from the townships.